Hello. Great to have you here. My name is Shauna. Today's reading is a general love forecast. As always, take the messages that resonate and release anything that doesn't. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay connected with upcoming readings. Let's see what's headed your way. Next image that I saw when I was meditating on this month's reading for you. So it's almost like Homer's Odyssey. Okay, it's just this man. He's by himself, though. He doesn't have any other people with him or his soldiers with him. He's definitely wearing some type of a Roman outfit, from what it looks like to me. He lives on the other side of the water. Okay, so he has to he has a long ways to traverse over water, over the ocean, in order to get home. He chartered a boat, and he's still wearing his armor and his war gear. And he's just like, okay, the battle's already done. I'm a winner. I'm just trying to get home right now. And he's still fairly young, I would say, under the age of 30. And he's just trying to get home. He chartered a boat. He rented out this boat or bought the boat or whatever. And he's by himself on this voyage. So he's just trying to get home. Along the way, he's like steering his boat. He hits like a swarm of mermaids, okay? And they're tossing their seashells onto his boat as a gift, as like a parting gift. He waves goodbye to them, and he's like, oh, if I were to tell the people back home that I saw a flock of mermaids, they're not going to believe me. And then the next day, he continues on his journey, and he sees the sunrise, and it's like this giant, so he must be close to the equator. It's like this giant ball of fire in the sky, and he's all like, oh, if I tell the people back home that I saw this giant ball of fire coming through the horizon, they're not going to believe me. And then the next day, he made, a little bit more progress along the way. And then he sees like a two-headed bird flying above him. It looks almost like a pterodactyl. That's what it looks like, but it has two heads. And it's like spitting out fire. And he's like, well, if I tell the people back home, they're not going to believe me. And so he sees all of these amazing things on his voyage. And he's just like, I wish they could see it, because if they see it, they would believe me. So if I were to tell my story when I get home, no one's going to believe me. He finally makes it home, and he gets like a really warm warrior's welcome. And he sits down at the dinner table, and they're like, tell us, what did you see? What did you see? And so, the people that are sitting around him, it's like a lot of different types of people. Some of them work for him. Some of them are his family members. So I see like an older pudgy lady, an older skinny man. So I feel like they're a couple, possibly his parents. And I see a bunch of little kids sitting on the far end of the table. And then his siblings, around his age, they're like, tell us what you saw. Tell us what you saw. So he proceeds to tell them everything that he saw. The mermaid, the two-headed bird, the sun in the sky, as well as other things. And like the adults were just like, okay, it's time for bed. Like they're not very impressed by the stories that he's telling them. But the children on the far end of the table are just like, tell us more, tell us more. Okay, so that's where the scene kind of cuts out. And so when I saw this, I was just thinking about how a lot of you Pisces, you've been through a lot in your life, okay? You've experienced almost like 10 lifetimes, okay? 10 lifetimes. You've experienced what is equivalent to what somebody would have experienced in 10 lifetimes. And I feel like it really aged you. It really matured you. It made you a really strong person. And I feel like, in a way, some of you are looking back on your past experiences, and you're just like, I've seen a lot of things in my lifetime. I've put up with a lot of things. And I never, I want to say, like, whatever, like, didn't break me made me stronger. It made me, a lot more resilient. It made me a lot more sure. It almost like solidify your resolve, your will to live, your will to, live another day, see another day. And there's at the same time this sense of homecoming, this sense of like how the realization of how important family is to you. And even if your family are not impressed by the choices that you've made or by the journey that you chose to take as an individual, at the end of the day, your family members are always, there at the end of your voyage. Okay, so family, I feel, means a lot to you. Even if you don't agree with each other, even if they don't agree with the choices that you make, there's always this sense of like they're always open armed when they see you. They always bring you into the fold. They always make sure that you're all right. Okay, so I feel like there's a lot that you might have. I'm almost seeing like a situation where you want to explain to them, you want to tell them, this is why I did what I did, okay? But I feel like, they might be a lot more pragmatic. They're in the living, They might not believe in your fantastical stories. They might not believe in magic. They might not believe that what you're telling them is the truth. There's a sense of elusiveness, okay? And I feel like what you're telling them is your version of the truth, but for whatever reason, they might have difficulties believing your version of the truth. At the same time, I feel like there's a sense of mysticism and magic about the way in which you look at your life, the experiences that has really shaped you. Despite all the ups and downs, you still believe in fairy tales, you still believe in magic, and you still believe that there are a lot of like unknown and unresolved mysteries in the world. So we should not close off our sense of magic in order to get through life in a more practical or pragmatic way. Okay, so I feel like you might be straddling the fence here, I'm sensing, with when it comes to like realism versus mystery. So it's almost like you might not be made for the typical 9 to 5 work environment. You might want something more. You might be yearning for that great adventure, that big escape, or the tropical paradise where the sun is like a ball of fire in the sky. Okay, you might be yearning for that sense of adventure, that travel lust, that travel bug. You might be wanting to recapture and to relive an experience, and you're trying to find either a partner in crime or somebody that believes in what you saw, believes in your story, so that they can embark on this voyage with you. And so, the children sitting at the far end of the table, they keep telling this man, tell us more, tell us more. I feel like if in the past you've been dealing with people or situations, people who are a little bit more like, pragmatic, and they don't really entertain tall tales, right? Or they're just like stick in the mud and they want to pop your bubble. Okay, I feel like you're finding the right audience. You're finding starry-eyed adventurers who are really inspired by the stories that you tell them. You're able to find your community and your clan coming through in the month of April. And so it looks really, really good where you have this sense of homecoming. Finally, I found my community. Finally, I'm finding people that are like me, that want to explore, and they see and still believe in the magic in the world and things like that. And then a part of you, I do see this major wanderlust energy, wanting a more exciting or more exotic life. Feeling a little bit stale and a little bit like weighed down by responsibilities, and wanting to kind of like lighten your load, to move forward, to travel, to kind of like connect with foreign people, foreign lands. Okay, so I feel like your nesting instincts. You're not domesticated. Okay, your energy is definitely not domesticated. You don't want to be domesticated. You don't want a life that is predictable. You don't care about that financial security anymore, which is good because it seems to me like you've made it. When you're not concerned about survival, when you're not concerned too much about how to pay the bills, and it seems to me like you've already had. Sorry. I have to retrieve this from the floor. When you've already had enough financial blessings and financial abundance where you don't have to worry, you're in a good space now to, enjoy your leisure time and to really think about what really drives you, what makes you feel passion and passionate again, and where it is and what it is that you want to be, where you want to live, and you're planning the next stage of your adventure. We have some really beautiful things. Okay. So you have some really beautiful cards, okay? But I think I'm going to pull out, let me see, 3 more. So death, you have death, which is new, like the ending of the old, and a new beginning coming through. So death, and then immediately after that, judgment. So that's like new things coming through as a result of letting go of something. What is this something that we are talking about here? What is this something that you're showing me? Can you give me 3 cards, please, for the Pisces people? Okay, so this is the card about success, okay? It's next to the Queen of Pentacles, so this is worldly success, having a lot of financial abundance, like I mentioned. Some of you might be getting a promotion. Some of you are getting a major step up in your career. Some of you might get a big pay increase. But either way, your financial situation is golden. It looks really, really positive. And you're also re-examining the work that you're doing. And I feel like, yes, on the one hand, it is very stable. It brings home and generates a lot of money for you. But with this 4 of Cups, it's like, I want a little bit more. I want that fantastical job. I want that magic and the passion. And I want to feel alive with the work that I do. So some of you are at a point where you're just like, yes, this job is great, but now I'm looking for something new. So I feel like this new energy with the Death card and the Judgment card is all about seeking something new, seeking something that is a lot more in alignment with the things that you believe in, which is the exciting journey, starting a new blank page, being able to travel, being able to move, having more flexibility, and especially being in a little bit more of a warmer, more tropical environment. So I feel like for many of you, it has snowed too long where you are, is what I'm sensing. So I don't know if you're living in an environment where it's a little bit sparsely populated and it's really hard to find a community of people, or you're in an environment where it's like cold year round and you're looking for more sunshine. So that ball of fire, that sun in the sky that looks like a ball of fire, it indicates to me a more tropical environment. And I feel like you're looking for sunlight, or you might, for some of you, have seasonal depression. And so it would behoove you to move to a more warmer climate, okay, just for your emotional health. Of course, we all don't have the luxury to just be able to pick up and go, but I feel like you're starting to realize it. Some of you might be aging and you're just like, I can't stand this cold anymore. So I need to, get myself to a better place, or to find something else. So I feel like there's a need here, movement in the southern direction. So this is travel. This is swift travel and swift movement and swift communication and relocation, and especially moving into the southeast direction. I feel like that's what's in store for you guys. So you might be contemplating about new jobs that are coming through in the picture. There might be a new job on the offing for you that might require a total relocation. And it looks really, really beautiful, because what's coming through is the King of Pentacles, which is new promotion, new work. The Hierophant, working in a very strong, working in a very stable, a very institutionalized type of an environment. This is a job that I usually call it like not so much working for a nonprofit or a private enterprise, but more for the public sector, okay? Dealing with institutions, dealing with like top-down type of management, which is not all bad. It sounds boring, but it's not all that bad. And it's so stable, and it's been around for a really long time, so you have a little bit of job security, but then on top of that, it pays really well. Okay, so you can escalate, and you can, get constant promotion. You can climb that corporate ladder. And the work environment itself, I feel like It's really right up your alley. So some of you might be solicited for a job. Some of you might be solicited to run a company or an organization. Some of you might be thrust into really strong, intense leadership positions. And you have all of these ideas that you have collected from all the other places that you have worked to really make some major, powerful changes in this kind of stale and stagnant environment. And at first, people might not be receptive, but I feel like over time, they're going to start to see the merits in it. They're going to believe in the things that you're trying to bring forth into the world. And they're going to, I feel like, internalize your vision. And so you might have been like the visionary ahead of your time, and you might have wanted to implement a lot of changes. There were blockages. There were people that are like naysayers, or there were people that were just like, that's too much too soon, because I feel like, you have a lot of ideas that you're throwing out there. And this person is like, no, 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 slow it down. And so the environment that you're in, especially if it's a new work environment, people are a little bit more inspired, a little bit more willing to experiment, and a lot more receptive to the sense of magic that you're trying to bring into the new environment. So I feel like if you are contemplating, should I stay here? I've got a house here. I've got friends here. I've got a lot of assets. I've got a good social network. And should I leave all of this and transition with the death card and the judgment card into a new work environment? Is that going to bode well for me? Is that a practical choice? And I feel like you definitely should implement this move, because it's going to bring in like a breath of fresh air that is very much welcome in your life, okay? So that's the first thing that I'm seeing. Let me talk about all the other marginal things. What we have here is the World. I can't pick up the card. And this is the closing of a cycle, okay? And realizing that a cycle is closing, realizing that the whole world is out there waiting for us. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of like different areas that we want to explore. There's a sense of, I feel like there's a sense of like longing for the exotic, wanting something that is different for many of you. And so I feel like this is a card about yearning. She's almost like looking through that door that is left ajar and wondering what her life would be like if she were on the other side. Okay, so it's almost like acknowledging that, yes, what I have here is okay. It's very, very stable. 10 of Pentacles, things that are built up over time, okay? So I feel like for many of you, this is a work situation where things are really, really stable. I can keep going. I can keep advancing. I'm going to get a pay increase every year. I can get promoted. I already know what I'm doing. I'm in a really powerful position where I can be groomed for a leadership position. But it's a little bit stale and stagnant. And I feel like in the past, you might have convinced yourself, this is where I could, start a life. But then over time, possibly within the past 3 years, 2 years even, it has proven to be a little bit like too rigid, too structured, too predictable, and it's no longer your cup of tea. And so you're thinking about other options, okay? For others of you, you have a really strong soulmate connection here. And we have here the Two of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles. I feel for some of you, you're shifting into a relationship where, a lot of the time, I don't know what it's like to be married and, to be married to somebody for like 5 years or 10 years. But I feel like there is a relationship, regardless of how long the two of you have been together. There's definitely somebody that you're living with. There's shared assets, shared bank account, housing situation, grocery bills, possibly children, possibly, like both names are on the car, both people's names are on the house. So there's like a lot of financial entanglements between you and another person. And I feel like you're sensing that the love is no longer there. The love has transformed, and it has become very quiet. It's no longer passionate. It's a very safe, stable, quiet type of a love that might have started out very passionately, but now it's more friendship based. And strangely, I feel like Pisces, you want a certain amount of drama in your relationship. And, this is true, I feel, of all dual signs, okay? You and the Geminis. And in a way, like the Sagittarius, okay? You want, like, the dual signs, you deal with duality. If it's too safe, too stable, it's too predictable, it could be a little bit boring for you. If it's too hot and heavy, too unpredictable, then it can be too much for you. But you want a certain amount of push and pull. You want a certain amount of love, but then detachment. So you want a little bit of tension in your relationship in order for you to feel alive. And I feel like there's something here that is a little bit safe, predictable, but at the same time, you perceive it to be stagnant. You're trying to, re-inject some type of passion in this relationship. And then for others of you, you're at the peak of your income generating capabilities. You have a really, really good partner. And I feel like one person might be the breadwinner in this relationship, and there's nothing wrong with that. And because of that, there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to, why don't we pick up and relocate somewhere else? Why don't we, make some drastic move? Why don't we move away? And you can work from home, and then I can find another job, and everything will be amazing. So you're trying to find that passion or re-inject that passion into a relationship, and you might feel like, maybe we should move. Maybe the change in scenery, the change in location, the geographical locational changes would be that, would kind of like be that spark in this relationship, that much needed spark for this relationship. So I feel like you're looking at a situation and you're trying to find external sources of inspiration to bring into the fold, when in fact the relationship looks perfectly fine, but you're looking for something a little bit more, okay? For some of you, you could be dealing with an earth sign, and I'm seeing Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Some of you could be dealing with a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. And what I'm feeling in general is that the two signs that you're dealing with, these are more homebody. These are more domesticated people that you're dealing with, okay? Especially the Scorpio and also that Taurus. They're a little bit more, well, Virgos too, Cancers especially. So either way, my point is the people that you're dealing with, they're a little bit more on the domesticated front, okay? They're nervous about change, and I feel like you're pushing change too much, too fast, and it's making them really, really apprehensive. And I feel like they might feel like you're a little bit frivolous, you're a little bit whimsical. You might be initiating something or starting something, and they're not really sure that 3 months from then, after implementing this change or this decision, they're not really sure if you're still going to get bored and do something else that is just as drastic. So I feel like they're telling you to slow things down. They're telling you to mull it over. But deep down, they are very internally scared of change, scared of upheaval, because they're a little bit more domesticated, and they're a little bit more like, they're looking for a little bit more certainty. They want to put down roots. So, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Like, that's the mentality of the person that you're dealing with. They're very practical. And so it's really hard to convince this person. And I feel like you don't have to convince them with the practical argument. You just need to convince them with the emotional argument, which is being able to identify accurately what it is that you want, what it is that really stirs your passion. I want to be in the tropics. I want to interact with different people from a different culture. I want to be able to, walk around at night without feeling cold. I want to be able to, it's like just telling them what it is that really stirs you. And I feel like when you approach these people from that angle, it's going to really hype them up. It's going to make them want to bring these things for you, or create these things for you, or to go out into the world and find these things to give to you. So I'm sensing that many of you are looking for a change. You've realized that where you are professionally, it's stable. It can keep growing. but you're not really happy there because emotionally you yearn for more, and you yearn for more excitement and more adventure. And if it's the spirit of adventure that you're looking for, I feel like somebody is putting like a damper on your plans, but I feel like you can convince them. Okay, they're just afraid of change, and they're just afraid that this is something that is fickle. They might think that you're fickle, like you might want this now, but 3 months from now you might not want it and you might regret the decision. So I feel like they're not really understanding what it is that you innately need and want, and so you kind of need to walk them through the process. Okay. Um, I'm sensing like an age gap, a cultural divide between two people as well. The world card usually indicates like dealing with foreigners. So you might be dealing with someone who might have different values, who might be culturally very different from you. And so you're seeing the same situation, but through different lens. And so approaching them from a different perspective, I feel, is a lot more, it's going to yield a better result. Okay, some of you could be dealing with a lot of different people in your work environment from different backgrounds as well. So work ethics might be different. Okay, the things that we value, as you know, I'm speaking here from an American like standpoint. Okay, the things that we value when it comes to work ethics, when it comes to punctuality, when it comes to quality and delivery of our work, might be very, very different across the board if you're dealing with people from different culture. So there might be, you know, these little annoyances that you have to kind of work out when you're dealing with cross-cultural communication, cross-cultural expectations as well. The bottom line is everybody's on the same page. They want to achieve the same things and they have the common goals in mind. So I feel like this can be overcome. It just needs to be approached from a different angle, and talking to people by activating more of that heart chakra, really trying to inspire people, and telling people that, appealing to their self-interest, there we go, appealing to their senses, appealing to their emotional needs and their self-interest. I feel like that's really going to allow you to gain traction in this situation. So if that's the case and you're feeling a little bit frustrated, I feel like there will be communication breakthroughs. Okay, and then on the other hand, you have really good loving relationship partners overall there that are very, very stable. If there has been a recent argument with another person, especially Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer, there's going to be a working things out. Okay, so I feel like if you're dealing with another person who is very, very stubborn, I feel like you're dealing with someone who's a little bit cold, pragmatic, practical, a little bit calculating, but very warm, and just like someone who's a really good match for you. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of mutual understanding. This person is choosing to be stubborn. And I feel like there is going to be a communication breakthrough. The Judgment card is greatly about that. Somebody, honking the horn or blowing the horn, which basically means communication is coming into the picture. It's going to work itself out. So I don't want you to worry over it. It just takes a little bit more time, and it just takes you being able to express yourself in a way that will allow them to kind of like learn to put themselves in your shoes to understand where you're coming from. Okay? I will leave it at that, Pisces. I do wish you the best. And for those who are looking for a reader, I do have a link in the description box below for a psychic based out of California. Her name is Bridget. She is phenomenal. I've been putting in a plug for her because I really, really value her insights, and she's phenomenal. She's gifted. So if you'd like to book a reading, I highly recommend her. I will be back in about 2 weeks' time for your mid-month reading. Take care of yourself, and I wish you the best.